Hello patrons, and welcome to the November 2018 monthly exclusive Patreon video, being recorded and released on December 2nd. If you guys get this December 3rd, something bad has happened. There's no reason for you not to get this December 2nd. I'm going to start by saying this is, for one, the last Patreon video that you'll get for 2018. We'll be back, I guess, at the beginning of January. And this video has some of the biggest news of the entire year because we now have trips planned for 2019, and they are big trips. They are very, very big trips, and that induces some level of anxiety within me because you guys know how I feel about trips. But they're still really exciting, and I'm going to be talking about them at the end of the video. So let's get through all of the other stuff first, and then we'll talk about that at the end. So let's start by saying what happened in November. Now, the previous Patreon video came out like after Extra Life had ended, so we've technically talked about that, but it also technically happened in November. So I want to say thank you again for all of the immense support for Extra Life. It was a ton of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sad that the computer wet itself at the end and had an issue, but still, you can't complain because the amount of money raised was immense, and we just had a blast. And if you didn't see, we did a part 2, a little bonus stream, basically, last weekend? It was last weekend, right?
I think so.
Last weekend. And just took care of some of the games that also raised a lot of money. All the games that raised over $1,000. And NCAA. Because it was close. It was really close. So that was a ton of fun, too. All those VODs, I know people are asking about them. They're still available on Twitch if you want to watch them on Twitch. Those are going to be cut up and released on Stephen Plays in the future. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Other things that happened in November. We really got started on Red Dead. Got like an entire month worth of content out for it. Red Dead's amazing. Like, there's definite problems with it. It's just like generic, like Rockstar Games problems with their engine. But they also lead to a lot of comedy. So, running into the back of someone else's horse and causing a big mess, it's pretty entertaining. If you're not watching that series, at least go watch, like, the first few minutes of episode 15. You won't regret it. You really won't. It's, that entire episode is amazing, but, the first few minutes are sad and very, very funny. Also, we've been working our way through Resident Evil 6, and there's some news to talk about that later on in the video, but we've recorded the first 2 campaigns. It's basically the same story told 4 times, but we have told that story twice now, and there's 2 more to do. That's really hard to do. Also, huge surprise in November, Mark and Rhonda were just here for Thanksgiving. It's fun to be surprised like that because we don't normally get surprises quite of that magnitude. And, certainly with the news we talked about a few months ago with finding out that, Mark has cancer, that sort of surprise was amazing. And, especially because that's not common knowledge on the vlog yet. When you rewatch, Mao and her dad embracing with that knowledge, it makes the scene, that much more special, I think. But it was so amazing to have them here, and we have a lot of news to talk about with them later on in the video. I'm hyping all of the rest of the video at the beginning of the video, but there really is a lot to talk about today. Other things, finally, after all this time, we released day 3000, and I got one on my desk here, and we released the keychains, and the keychains are sold out. They are sold out. Now, the good news is they are going to be reprinted. Fangamer let me know that they're going to reprint them. They're not going to reprint as many as that first run. It's mostly to make sure that anyone who wanted one and couldn't get one will be able to get one. But I did let you guys know early, because I wanted patrons to have first dibs, and I've had a ton of messages and a ton of images on Discord of patrons, showing off the keychains arriving. So I'm really glad that it happened. I'm really glad that people are receiving them and enjoying them. and I'm blown away that they all sold out so quickly, and people really loved them, and I'm just excited about the whole thing. So I'm also I'm hopeful that Fangamer will want to work with us again in the future, like not just because we are friends of the folks that run the company, but because we've shown that, you know, we can come up with a neat product that people actually want and are excited about. And, you know, next year will be the 10th anniversary of Steven Vlog. It'll be another chance to do something really cool, maybe something special that, you know, only a company like Fangamer could do. So maybe as that gets closer, I'll start to ask you guys about ideas, interesting things that we could come up with that people may want. And we'll celebrate the decade of Steven Vlog with, you know, something new and interesting. That'd be fun. Other things. No Shave November. That happened. We are now into December. This is the most facial hair I've ever had in my life. You guys may have seen that vlog that just came out. I don't think that I'm going to keep this forever. I don't even know if I'm going to keep it throughout the entire month, but I'm curious to see what happens with it. I'm most curious to see if this comes in, because honestly, I have this now basically to find out if anything happens here. And it might, but it also might not. And regardless of what it does, I don't know if I'm gonna keep everything. And a lot of it has to do with maintenance. Like, No Shave November was kind of nice because I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to shave, just did whatever. And I know it didn't look, you know, super great, but it was nice and invigorating that I didn't have to do anything. Now I'm like, oh man, I have to, like, not only do I have to shave, I have to shave in very specific areas and be careful not to hit the other things. And I'm like, oh man, this is so much effort. So much effort. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not entirely sure, but I would guess I'll probably keep it till at least Christmas. That would be my guess. So we'll see after that point if I go any further. And then other things that happened in November, I very quietly started to collect, so I can do this right, Wii. I started to collect Wii games. And you might be saying, you know, why would you collect Wii games? Oh, I think you know. I think you know why I would collect Wii games. I've already announced that 2019 we will do another GameCube Extra Life. There are so many games that didn't get played. The library is huge. The library is good, especially compared to Wii. So I want to do another GameCube Extra Life. And also there's not enough time. 1 year is not enough time to collect the entirety of the Wii library. But I have started to collect it. I haven't announced that anywhere. I'm just kind of very quietly picking up Wii games. And the way I've done it, I think is probably the smartest way to do it. I have bought lots on eBay. I went, and I don't ever buy games on eBay, but like Wii games are so cheap on eBay, and like if you could get them at like a yard sale or a garage sale or something where people are just giving them away for super cheap. So I have rules that I've put on myself that like I will only spend like a certain amount per game, and it's super low because Wii games are so cheap. And I'm trying to buy lots every once in a while on eBay that just have a ton of games for dirt cheap. And I will wind up with duplicates, but I'm taking those to Player's Choice, obviously. And I actually got a lot of games from Player's Choice as well, because I had some duplicate GameCube games that you guys had sent in. We went through the shelves and everything the other day, and I found out I had duplicate N64 games that were hiding in there. So we traded all that stuff in, and I got even more Wii stuff. So each one of these shelves for a standard DVD case is 50 games. So there's 150 Wii games now. And in October, we had 50. So we got 100 Wii games in the span of a month, and I spent almost no money on them. A lot of the stuff was trade-in for Player's Choice, and then the few lots that I bought on eBay were pretty cheap. So that's how I'm going to try and do it, just kind of here and there. When we get into spring and people are doing yard sales, like we would go yard sailing years ago, and I'd skip over all the Wii stuff because I'm like, I don't want to collect Wii. But that was what was everywhere because people had Wiis. Everyone and their brother owned a Wii for Wii Sports and a bunch of other things. So Now that's the stuff I want to find. It used to be I was looking for carts or whatever, and now I'm hoping to stumble across, these Wii games and pick them up for super, super cheap. And the truth is, the Wii library is massive, but it's also not very expensive. Like, there's not very many games that are worth much. GameCube has more valuable games than Wii does, and Wii's library is over twice as many games. So, that's saying a lot. But once we get further in, once we've done a better job over this course of this, like next year, I'll probably finally say, hey, or people tell in the background, they'll be like, Jesus, that's a lot of Wii games. I'll say, hey, we are collecting Wii games. We've managed to get this far. If you want to contribute, here's the list. Send stuff in. But I'm starting on it now, because I will probably need these full, 2 years in order to get all of the Wii games. All right, now we're going to start talking about what is happening in December. More Red Dead. There's going to be even more Red Dead, and I've already recorded some of that for December, and it's just so good. It's just such a good game, and it's interesting because there's no way I'll be able to show off everything. It's definitely not going to be a 100% run, because the amount of content in that game is astounding, and also it's really not that. I don't feel like it would be. Like, I don't want the Let's Play to be that type of thing. I want to show off the story and show off my experiences doing certain things, but I don't want it to be like, hey guys, today is like the 5th episode of just hunting, legendary animals. Because that sort of thing, honestly, is best experienced by yourself. It really is. And this is the type of game I could seriously see myself, like, maybe after I'm done with it, after I've beaten the game, if I really do have an interest in going after some of these additional things, I might stream that stuff. So the LP would be done. Maybe I would stream myself doing, like, hunting or some of the other additional activities. Because I don't think it would make good content so much on YouTube, but if people just want to chill while I'm, trying to get some of the stuff, then I might do that. But there's so many, like, lines of dialogue at camp. Like, you're at the camp and so many conversations are happening, and they're only ever going to happen once, and you can't record all of them. There's so much happening. It's a very immersive experience, but those sorts of things really make me want to push the fact that, if you like this game, you really should consider picking it up and playing it through yourself. Not trying to hurt my own viewership, but, like, I'm going to be showing off the key points, but if you really enjoy the game and you like the feel of the game, it's so good. Just like the stuff that doesn't get included in the videos, just me walking around camp, people are having conversations, and if we included all of that, there would be entire episodes where nothing happens except me listening to people at camp. And we do a little of that, but, we can't do the entire series that way. So, yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. You will definitely run your horse into trains occasionally, but other than that, it's a really good game. Other things that are happening in December, Smash Ultimate. We are going to be recording content of that game the day it releases, which is a Friday, and aiming to have that out the next day. And you might be saying, isn't that when Resident Evil comes out? About that, we're putting Resident Evil on pause. Resident Evil is a fun game, and we enjoy doing it, but we really want to make December a very focused month, which is why the 2 series that are going to be running in December are Red Dead and Smash. So we're gonna keep doing the 3 a week. So there'll be 3 days in a row of Red Dead, 3 days in a row of Smash, and we're just putting Resident Evil on pause. Honestly, with the way Resident Evil is, where there's 4 campaigns, and we've done 2 of them, by pausing here, you're not missing anything, because these are going to be repeats. It's going to be the same story again. So Chris's campaign is going to finish up in just a few days, and then when that finishes up, the series is going to go on pause, and it's going to come back probably in January. But I really want December to be focused, and that's good for us, because Smash content is going to do well, and people are going to want to watch a lot of it, and then also it'll help us get even further in Red Dead, which is proving itself to be a long game. Like, I expected it to be probably about 80 episodes, and it is definitely going to be that long. There's a lot of game there. Anyway, other things that are happening. Saddle Quest, which is the Minecraft multiplayer Steven and Friends series that we recorded several months ago, that is happening. So today is Sunday. This Saturday, yeah, this Saturday is you'll get the first episode of that, and then every Saturday for the next 4 Saturdays, aka the rest of the year, until it's all out. There's 4 episodes of that. They're all edited now. I've watched them all. Dan did an amazing job, and they are very funny. So I'm looking forward to everyone getting a chance to enjoy those. And then, big announcement, Fallout. Which I think at this point, it doesn't even carry that much weight, because it's like, I've said before, like, I think I can get it out, I think I can get it out. Well, here's the truth. Last week, I recorded more Fallout in that week than I have, I think, in the last 3 months. The series went on hiatus in August, and I managed to record some in September, and then between September and last week, like, very little got done, just because of all the other stuff going on. But last week, I recorded 20-something hours of Fallout, and it's looking pretty good right now. Obviously, there's going to be some issues like this week because Smash is coming out, so I'm trying to get so much done and also juggle in Fallout. But right now, I'm hopeful that it'll be out a week from today. It's going to come when it comes out. It's going to be a Sunday night. I'm hoping I'll have it out in a week. If not, it's definitely going to be December. There is not that much left to do, to be honest. And one of the interesting things about this upcoming episode of Fallout, and this might be a little spoilery, so if you're like, oh gosh, spoilers, it's just a little bit. I think it'll be okay. I am covering some Far Harbor stuff. Well, I'm covering the entirety of Far Harbor, in addition to doing some of this Nuka World stuff with Nora. And I really want to montage that, because what I want is I want to get to the Nuka World stuff like immediately, showing off things that Grit won't be doing. And that's the goal, but I also want to show off all these alternative, like, decisions you could have done, and all these alternative, like, dialogue options, and it's all going to be like a big montage. Anyway, there's so much footage right now that it is a real possibility that the next episode of Fallout may be the only episode in the series that doesn't contain any commentary. And it would be snappy. You know, it would be like, you know, little piece of dialogue here, piece of dialogue, you know, keep moving. It's not like I'm going to be walking through the wasteland and I'm just not talking. There would always be stuff going on, but there's so much montage, you know, footage to show that I actually may not get a chance to speak in the next episode. And that'd be fine. It would just be kind of a strange thing for the series. But rest assured that there was so much done last week on it, and the real reason I was able to do that is because I positioned myself to get so many other things done. We basically prepared for a trip that didn't exist, and then I used all that free time to work on Fallout. And that's what I'm going to do again. I'm going to be working really hard to get ahead on Red Dead. When Smash comes out, I'm going to be working really hard to get ahead on Smash and the first 20s and all that stuff, so I can work on Fallout. It needs to go away. It's been a weight on my chest for a long time. I feel really happy that I made so much progress last week, but it's like, okay, finish it. So that's what I'm working on. Speaking of first 20, last year I did a first 20 top 10 where I talked about the my top 10 first 20s of last year in the games that I enjoyed from having played 30 minutes or so. I would like to do that again this year, and I'm not promising it because I'm trying to put a focus on Fallout and keep myself sane. I know how much work that was last year. It was a few days of solid work only on that, and I really need those days to be put into Fallout. So there's a chance it may not happen this year. Just know that I want to do it. If I can, then I will try. I don't know when that's going to happen. The last thing for December is ChefCon. ChefCon is happening the day after. I think the day after Christmas, people will be here. Chaz and Jeff and Paul Alex and Haley, Dan and Lindsay obviously live here. Nick said he's also going to be here. So we're going to have quite a few folks. And I can already tell you for sure we are planning on doing recordings of Jackbox, IRL, Jackbox if you want to call it that. We did that last time, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun just sitting around playing the game and making that content. But also we made a lot of content, which was obviously good for us because that puts less pressure on us to try and make sure that we're making recordings on Saturday nights. So we're doing Jackbox. We're going to do something with Smash Ultimate, some sort of like tournament or something. I'm not sure what the specifics of that are going to be. If we're going to do like a one-on-one tournament, if we're going to do like a big free-for-all thing, I don't know. But some content, some Steven and Friends content with Smash Ultimate, because it will have just come out, and I think that'd be fun. We are still working on creating our Mario Party 1 Let's Play, and while people are here for ChefCon, we're going to be making more of those recordings. Actually, we'll probably make so many with different folks that maybe early 2019 it'll start to come out? Maybe. I gotta look at the list of what we have and what we need, but next year sometime for sure, Mario Party 1 will come out. And then finally, I want to do this. This is going to be a maybe, but I'd like to. I'd like to do a Steven and Friends Q&A. So I promised 3 Q&As in 2018. We've released 2, which means that we need to release a third one soon. Mal's finishing up a painting now, so after she's done with that, I think we'll probably record a Q&A. And then on that Q&A, we'll say, hey, for the next one, we're going to do Steven and Friends. I already asked some folks about it. They said they'd be down to do it. So it'd just be whoever's in town at the time we do it. We just have that group, and we would ask people to submit questions, not for specific folks, but just like, you know, generic questions that anyone could answer. That would be related to Steven and Friends. Anytime, you know, people want to know about the process or, you know, certain people's favorite moments or whatever, we would get those sorts of questions and we'd ask everybody. So it'd be a big Q&A. The most people we've ever had on a Q&A has been 4. We'd probably have more for this, and I think that'd be really fun. And finally, what's happening in the future? Extra Life VODs. Those are probably going to be in January. Again, we're trying to keep December basically just for Smash and Red Dead. Want to keep that very focused. But in January is probably when the Extra Life VODs will start actually coming out. Also, Mario Maker 3DS, we don't really have a specific plan for that. I will not release that until Fallout is out. So that's how you'll know if Mario Maker is going to start coming out or not. Fallout's got to be out. So Mario Maker might be January, might be February. I'm not sure. And I'm also going to be putting in once Fallout's finished, I'm going to be putting a priority on the old timeline because, let's be honest, if those overlap, that would be the biggest crime ever. Because right now we're in February. So, like, if we were releasing both February 2018 and 2019 at the same time, I will feel real bad. So I'm not going to let that happen. So I'm going to make sure that the old timeline is at least far enough ahead so, you know, those things don't occur. Mario Maker would be just sometime after that. All right. Now for the giant news. Maybe you jumped ahead in the video to find out what the giant news was first, and then you're going to go back and watch. That's fine. Hi. There's really great stuff to talk about earlier, so you'll have to go check that out after. We have 2 major trips happening in 2019. And by major, I mean international. 2. And that's wild, but I'll explain what they are and it might make a little more sense. First trip, we're going back to Japan. For a few years now, we have been talking with our ChefCon friends about going to Japan. Chaz has wanted to go to Japan forever. Mao and I loved Japan when we were there the first time, said, you know, yeah, we'd love to go back. So Chaz and Jeff were like, yeah, that'd be fun. Maybe we could all go as, you know, a big group of friends. Alex and Haley were on board. Other people said they'd like to go. So we've talked about it for years, but we've never actually, like, moved forward on it. It was just like, someday we'll do this. Well, a few weeks ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I guess, Chaz sent a message to the group of us, and he said, you need to look at flights. They are ridiculously cheap out of Myrtle Beach. And we were like, really? So we looked, and sure enough, they were super cheap. In fact, I believe they were cheaper than when we went to...
We had to drive to Charlotte last time.
Well, that's the other thing. I think, first off, they were cheaper than when we went to Japan last time, and they were already ridiculously cheap. But the big deal was, like, last time we had to drive to Charlotte, which is like 3.5 hours away, this was in Myrtle Beach. That doesn't make any sense. Like, if you've ever looked at flights out of or into Myrtle Beach, you'll know that they're not usually particularly cheap. It's usually quite expensive because Myrtle Beach is actually a pretty small airport. And Chaz and Jeff said even their flights out of like Indianapolis were pretty inexpensive, but they still couldn't match what we had at Myrtle Beach. And he's like, do you want to do this? And we're like, well, we've talked about it forever, and these flights are the cheapest we've ever seen. Sure, let's do it. So we talked to everyone. We got on board. It's cheaper for Alex and Haley to drive to Myrtle Beach from Birmingham and fly out here than it is to fly out of Birmingham or Atlanta or anything. So, yeah, that's happening. In April, we are going to Japan with Mao, myself, Chaz and Jeff, Alex and Haley, and Dan and Lindsay. There might be other people involved. Not entirely sure, but those people are definitely, confirmed. We're going to be staying in Tokyo the entire time. That's going to be our base. Our Airbnb is going to be in Tokyo, but I'm sure we'll also be traveling out to Kyoto. Mao and I never got to go to Kyoto last time, so we're going to be going there, and that's super exciting. I'm super excited. I have wanted to get back there because it was just such an amazing trip the first time, but now for sure we're going to be going, and we're going to be going with that group of friends. So I'm really excited because, like, I want another chance to film things. I feel like just in the past few years, I've really grown as a cinematographer, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to shoot Tokyo again. But it's also going to be really amazing because I get to shoot it with a different group of friends, and arguably a group of friends that, vlog watchers know a little bit better. People know Steve and Steph, but like all the other people that were a part of that trip, people didn't know very well. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. And as that trip gets closer, I'm going to ask you guys if there's anything, interesting in especially Tokyo, but like the surrounding areas that you would really like to see or see again that I could film. Then I'll get input from you guys, and I'm going to try and make it a really cool, like a really fun trip, but like really cool from a vlog perspective. And it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm really excited that the trip so far is pretty inexpensive. Actually, what's so interesting, and this is just how weird flights are, the flight that we have from Myrtle Beach obviously doesn't go from Myrtle Beach to Tokyo. There's layovers. So the layover went to, I think, Charlotte. And if you were to pick up that, because we looked at the flight, if you were to pick up the flight in Charlotte, so it's the exact same itinerary, but Myrtle Beach isn't in the picture, so it's one less flight, the price was like double. Why? Why does it work like that? That doesn't make any sense. Because we ride on one more flight, it costs us half as much money? I don't know. So that's happening. And that was a few weeks ago that we, got all that straightened out. And that was basically, I think just a few days after I made the last Patreon video. So that's happening. Then, when Mark and Rhonda were here, they said, next year is, your year, because we always take you guys on a trip every other year. And last time we were with them, we had talked about really, honestly, like kind of downscaling the trips a bit, because I said I'm really interested in just like going somewhere to like eat. If our trip, instead of doing like a international trip, was just find an interesting like stretch of road in the US and like drive the stretch of road over the course of like a week and like find different interesting restaurants and make it like a food vacation. Because me and Mark were really on board with that. But when Mark and Rhonda were here, now with the news of Mark's condition and being uncertain about the future, he wants to do a bigger trip. And we were like, okay, that we understand, that makes sense. And they said, we're thinking China. And we're like, okay, sure. And I mean, I was a little worried because I'm thinking, I'm already going to Japan. And I always get a little anxiety about the fact that trips are happening, because when a trip is happening, it is hard to do work, and it also means a lot of work leading up to it. But these trips are literally is it 6 months exactly? Nearly 6 months apart.
So.
Nearly 6 months apart. Japan's happening in April. China would be happening in September. But yeah, that's what they wanted to do, and they take care of everything. Mark and Rhonda are extremely generous, so everything is just done and paid for, and that means that we have 2 international trips next year. And I'm extremely thankful and grateful, and I'm looking forward to it. But I'm also like, okay, I need to make sure that things are in order. That obviously Fallout, I'm working on this month to get that out of the way. I need the old timeline done before we ever go to Japan. Like, absolutely 100% do or die. And I think that that's very reasonable, and we can definitely do it. But I don't need any additional work baggage hanging over my head at all next year. I need to have everything caught up and be focused and be ready to do these things, because these will be really great opportunities for good video. I'm looking forward to shooting these places and seeing how my skills have improved with cinematography, and getting the opportunities to shoot some of this stuff, and especially with Japan, like hanging out with all our friends and the antics that will come from that. But yeah, that's what's happening. 2 international trips next year. April will be Japan. September will be China. Yeah. More news as those things get closer. And like I said, when we get into March for the March Patreon video, we'll talk about if there's anything you guys want to see specifically in Tokyo. We can try and make that happen while we're there. I'm looking forward to the trips. It's just, wow, 2019 is not even here yet, and it's going to be pretty amazing. That being said, if this was ever going to happen, to have all of this stuff happen, I think it's really awesome that it's happening in the 10th year of the vlog. I really hope that the 10th year is super interesting and fun to watch, and going on these trips, I think will add to that, and it'll make it basically a really special year. So that'll be fun. Anyway, yeah, so that's the video for today. As one final thing, make sure that if you have any interesting ideas for ChefCon, for games, because we're definitely doing Jackbox and Smash Ultimate, and the Mario Party recordings. If there's anything that you would recommend for our group that you'd like to see, put it in the comments of this Patreon post, and we'll definitely take it into consideration. We're also doing other things, so I'm not sure how much time we'll have, but if it's a good idea and we have time, we might do it. So be sure to let me know. Anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for the continued support. 2018 has been a roller coaster, but I'm trying to finally trying to get the train back on the tracks. Once I wrap up Fallout and start putting all that additional Fallout time into the old timeline, I think things are gonna be good. And I have the highest hopes in the world for 2019. I think it's going to be a stupendous year. I really do. So, fingers crossed. Anyway, since this is the last video of the year, thank you guys again. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Enjoy it with your families, and leave comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I will see you guys here for another video in the new year, 2019, which is going to be, I'll say it, the best year for our channels ever. The most fun content, the most interesting, places and funny videos. We'll make it happen. 2019 will be the year.